Hello there, I am Fernanda Paiva, hitchhiking stars and bringing you some insights and information about the lunations so you can make the most of it. Now, today we're going to talk about the coming new moon, which will be happening between the 14th or the 15th of June, depending where you are in the world. So if you're in America, it will be around the 14th, but if you are in Europe, for example, Central European time, then that's happening in the early hours of the 15th. So the new moon is happening at 24 degrees Gemini. So it's a Gemini new moon, very known to be connected with new beginnings in terms of thinking, in terms of ideas, in terms of curiosity and learning new things as well. Gemini is known as a very flexible and a very mutable sign, one of the most mutable of the mutable signs, if we can say that, because of the element air as well. So I think air is very changeable as well. So mutable air here will bring that ability to be curious, to be open. So with the new moon, we can definitely open ourselves up to new ideas, new ways of thinking, new ways of seeing things, new people potentially as well in our lives, or a little bit more lightness in our relationships as well, a little bit more dialogue, a little bit more conversation. Now, looking into the chart, which is what we usually do here, so let's look at the chart, let's look at the Sabian symbol, and let's discuss a little bit the tarot cards that are connected with Gemini as well. So first, for the chart, this new moon does not make any major aspect to any of the other planets other than a sextile to Chiron. So again, reinforcing that possibility of healing, of changing something that needs to be changed, but in a harmonious way, right? It doesn't have to be anything very dramatic. One thing that I noticed about the chart is that we have a mutual reception here between Mercury and the moon in Gemini. So the moon is in Gemini, the sign of Mercury, that's naturally associated with Mercury, and Mercury is in Cancer, the natural sign that's ruled by the moon. So they're in each other's sign, they have a silent, special relationship, a special connection here. And what I feel from that special connection is a very intuitive mind, is being able to align a little bit the emotional side, the Cancerian side, with the intellectual, with what we think, with what we communicate as well. So in terms of intentions for this new moon, this could be a wonderful time to intend for more balance, to intend for more equilibrium between these two sides. And as you may know, Gemini has a special significance when it comes to balance of dualities. And with the Mercury in Cancer here, the duality that's being pointed out is definitely connected with, emotion and reason. The sense of knowing without knowing versus having the clarity and communicating or actualizing some of those intuitive knowing, right? So there's something there with that mutual reception between Mercury and the moon. I also think Chiron, which is the only point in the chart that's forming a sextile and a relationship to the new moon, is also about duality, and it's also about balance, because Chiron is associated with a centaur, right? Half animal, half human. So again, we have a symbolism between instincts and reasoning, right? I think this is a big theme for this new moon, something that we can set intentions for. One more aspect before we move on to the Sabian symbol, one more aspect that called my attention is Venus recently moved to Leo. So Venus at 1 degree Leo, almost 2, coming to oppose Pluto. And this could be connected with values, with something transformative in relation to how we value, how we do relationships, how we make commitments, how we experience passion in our lives. This is also part here, perhaps more clarity around that, perhaps more clarity of intention, of communication around that, something that can be part of it as well. Now, for the Sabian symbol of this new moon, we have 24 degrees Gemini is a gardener trimming large palm trees. A gardener trimming large palm trees. So here we have an imagery of trimming and trimming palm trees as well, and gardening as well. A gardener is cultivating, right? We're cultivating. It has a feeling of self-cultivation with this new moon. Now we're talking about trimming, so there's a sense of containment of wild growth. We don't want it to grow all wild without a sense of direction, or there is a sense of letting go of what doesn't need to be there anymore as well, what's being a hindrance to growth, right? So either if we're cutting wild growth or if we're cutting old leaves, there is a sense of trimming and containing before we can actually grow healthier. And that makes sense with the energy of a new moon, because a new moon is a moment of reflection, is a moment of rest, is a moment of intentions, silent intentions. And with Gemini, perhaps the symbolism could be talking about an unruly mind, something that we need to trim, we need to contain, because thoughts obviously create reality. And when we're overly anxious, when we're overthinking something, we might be putting a little bit too much energy on an undesirable outcome, right? So this new moon is a kind of a heads up and a potential for changing that process or paying extra attention to that process, right? The trimming is also rejuvenation, is regaining a sense of order, is rejuvenating, is also a rebirth that's connected to letting go. And the unruly mind can be that hindrance that needs to be cut off, that needs to be trimmed. And I think the unruly mind can be a great imagery here for the unruly mind. The cards that are associated with Gemini. So the minor arcana cards associated with Gemini are the 9, 10. I mean, we also have the 8, but in particular the 9 and 10 of swords, which represent someone awake, really anxious, someone overthinking, and that process of anxiety associated with an unruly mind. So pay extra attention to this during this new moon. Where do you need to trim? Where do you need to trim your mind? Trim your way of thinking, trim your vision, right? So you can grow more purposefully. So you can align your needs, your emotions with your mind, with your thoughts, with your intellect. And the other card that's associated with Gemini is the Lovers. And the Lovers is a card connected to choice, connected to duality as well. So again, we have that connection here between the two. So this is what this new moon is bringing as an opportunity. So pay attention to that. Go with your intuition as well. Remember, Mercury is in Cancer as well. So there's a duality between your intuition, your emotional self, and your mind, and where you put your mind into. So those are the opportunities for this coming new moon. I hope this is helpful. I hope that you have a wonderful new lunar cycle, and I'll be speaking to you all soon. So take care. Bye-bye now.